In the vast, sun-scorched expanse of the Arizona frontier, where the horizon shimmered with heat and the earth cracked under the weight of endless summers, a young girl named Eliza Mayhew stumbled through the sagebrush, her bare feet bleeding from thorns and her lips parched from days without water. Barely 16, she had been part of a wagon train bound for California, a group of settlers chasing dreams of gold and fertile lands. But dreams turned to dust when fever swept through the caravan, claiming lives and sowing panic. Eliza, frail and feverish, was deemed a burden by the group's leader, a stern man named Carver, who saw her slowing their progress as a death sentence for all. One night, under a moonless sky, they abandoned Kira, left her with nothing but a tattered blanket and a whispered prayer. She awoke alone, the wagon tracks fading into the desert, her heart pounding with betrayal. The stars above offered no comfort, only a cold reminder of her solitude. Eliza wandered, her strength ebbing, her mind clouded with fever dreams of her mother's voice calling her home. Days blurred into nights, and her body grew weaker, collapsing at last beside a dry riverbed, where she lay waiting for death's embrace. Yet, fate had other plans. From the shadows of a nearby mesa, a figure watched a towering Navajo man named Tahoma, whose name meant born of water in his people's tongue. He was a giant among his kin, standing nearly 7 feet tall, his presence both fierce and gentle, like the mountains that cradled his homeland. Tahoma had roamed these lands for decades, a solitary healer and tracker, shunned by some for his size and revered by others for his wisdom. He saw Eliza not as a trespasser but as a child lost to the world's cruelty. With hands calloused from years of toil, he lifted her fragile form, carrying her to a hidden canyon where a spring bubbled from the earth, its waters cool and life-giving. There, beneath the shade of cottonwood trees, he tended her wounds, brewing teas from desert herbs and singing soft chants that echoed through the stone walls. Eliza's fever broke under his care, her eyes fluttering open to meet his, dark and deep as the night sky. She saw no malice there, only a quiet strength, and though she spoke no Navajo and he little English, a bond began to form, a thread of trust woven in silence. Tahoma fed her cornmeal cakes and strips of dried venison, teaching her the names of plants and stars, his voice a low rumble like distant thunder. Eliza, once a girl of New England parlors, began to see the desert not as a wasteland but as a living tapestry, its rhythms pulsing in time with her own heartbeat. She wondered if this man, this giant, was her savior or something more, a father she'd never known, a guide to a world she'd never imagined. Her old life felt like a distant dream, the settler's betrayal a fading scar. Tahoma, too, felt a shift within him, for in saving Eliza, he found purpose anew, a daughter to teach, a legacy to share. Together, they built a fragile home in the canyon, a sanctuary carved from stone and spirit, where the girl left to die began to live again. Eliza's days in the canyon unfolded like the petals of a desert bloom, slow and deliberate, each moment revealing new layers of the world Tahoma opened to her. She learned to walk softly on the earth, to read the tracks of coyotes and the flight of hawks, to listen for the whisper of wind that carried warnings of storms. Tahoma taught her the Navajo way of seeing, tilde cubed tilde cubed, the balance that bound all things, from the smallest stand to the tallest peak. Her hands, once soft from stitching samplers, grew calloused as she helped him gather yucca roots and grind corn, her fingers stained with the red clay of the canyon walls. She marveled at Tahoma's knowledge, his ability to find water where none seemed to exist, to coax life from the barren land. He showed her how to weave baskets from willow, each twist of fiber lesson in patience, and how to track the constellations that guided his people across centuries. Eliza's English words felt clumsy against the lyrical flow of Navajo, but she began to mimic Tahoma's phrases, her tongue stumbling over sounds that felt like music. He called her Shich a diaresis T circumflex 1/4 a tilde a ring a tilde copyright a tilde copyright Cha diaresis T circumflex 1/4 meaning little one who survives, a name that made her chest swell with pride. Yet, shadows lingered in her heart. At night, by the fire's glow, she dreamt of the settler's face as a carver's cold eyes, the others who turned away as she begged for help. The betrayal stung, a wound that Tehoma's kindness could not fully heal. She wondered if they'd reached California, if they'd forgotten her entirely. Tehoma sensed her pain, though she never spoke it, and one evening, he carved a small wooden figure of a girl, placing it in her hands. "You are here," he said in halting English, pointing to the figure, then to the stars. "You are enough." Eliza clutched the carving, tears falling. Feeling the weight of her old life lift, she began to see herself not as abandoned but as chosen, a daughter of the desert, tethered to Tehoma by something deeper than blood. He, too, carried wounds, the stories he shared in fragments of his family lost to sickness, of his people's struggles against encroaching settlers. Together, they found solace in their shared survival. Two souls remade by the land. Eliza learned to ride Tehoma's sturdy mare, her laughter echoing as they galloped across the mesas, the wind carrying her fears away. She wore a woven shawl he gave her, its patterns telling stories of creation, and felt herself becoming part of those tales. The canyon was no longer just a refuge, it was home, its walls a testament to their resilience. Tehoma watched her grow stronger, her frame filling out, her eyes bright with curiosity, and he knew she was no longer the frail girl he'd found. She was his daughter, not by birth but by choice, a bond forged in the crucible of the desert's heart. 3. As seasons turned, Eliza's transformation deepened, her spirit entwining with the land's ancient rhythms. She no longer flinched at the howl of wolves or the sudden crack of thunder. Instead, she felt them as part of her, like the beat of her own pulse. Tehoma taught her the sacred stories of his people, the emergence of the Din-A-Tilde copyright from the underworld, the hero twins who battled monsters, the weaving of the first Hogan. She listened, rapt, as he spoke of changing woman, the mother of all life, whose cycles mirrored the seasons. Eliza saw herself in these tales, a girl reborn from the earth's embrace. She began to help Tehoma in his healing work, accompanying him to nearby Navajo camps where he treated ailments with herbs and prayers. Her pale skin and auburn hair drew stares, but Tehoma's presence silenced doubts, his reputation as a healer commanding respect. Eliza learned to grind sage and juniper, to sing the blessing songs, her voice tentative but growing stronger. The Navajo woman taught her to weave, their hands guiding hers over the loom, and she marveled at how threads could tell stories of sky and stone. Yet, tension simmered beyond the canyon. Word reached them of settlers clashing with Navajo bands, of soldiers rounding up families for distant reservations. Tehoma's face grew heavy with worry, his eyes scanning the horizon for signs of trouble. Eliza felt the weight of her own history. Her people, the settlers, were part of this conflict, their greed for land threatening the world she now loved. She grappled with guilt, wondering if her presence endangered Tehoma, but he dismissed her fears with a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You are Din-A-Tilde copyright now," he said, his voice firm. "This is your place." One day, a young Navajo runner arrived, breathless, with news of a raid nearby. Settlers had burned a hogan, and soldiers were closing in. Tehoma decided they must move deeper into the mountains, to a hidden valley known only to a few. Eliza packed their belongings in baskets, blankets, the wooden figuria, her heart racing but steady. As they traveled, she noticed Tehoma's strength faltering, his breaths shorter, a cough lingering from the dust of their journey. She took on more tasks, guiding the mare, gathering wood, her hands steady where his trembled. In the valley, they built a new hogan, its cedar poles blessed with corn pollen, a symbol of their shared life. Eliza felt a fierce protectiveness for Tehoma, this giant who had saved her, now vulnerable in his own way. She sang to him at night, her voice blending Navajo and English, a bridge between their worlds. The valley became their sanctuary, its cliffs guarding them from the chaos beyond. But Eliza knew their peace was fragile, a fleeting gift in a land torn by conflict. 4. The hidden valley cradled Eliza and Tehoma like a mother's arms, its high walls shielding them from the world's turmoil. Here, wildflowers bloomed in defiance of the desert's harshness, and a small stream sang over smooth stones, its waters sustaining their new home. Eliza grew adept at the skills Tehoma taught here, at tracking deer, weaving intricate rugs, and reading the weather in the clouds' shapes. She felt the land's pulse in her bones, its stories etched into her heart. Tehoma, though weakened by his cough, remained a towering presence, his laughter filling the valley when Eliza mimicked Raven's call or stumbled over a Navajo word. He carved more figures for her: a horse, a star, a tiny hogana, each a piece of their shared story. Eliza began to dream in Navajo, her mind weaving images of coyotes and sacred mountains, her old life in Boston a faint shadow. Yet, the outside world crept closer. One morning, hoofbeats echoed beyond the valley, and Tehoma's eyes darkened as he recognized the sound of soldiers' horses. He and Eliza hid in a cave, their breaths shallow as voices shouted in English, searching for Navajo holdouts. Eliza's heart pounded, not for herself but for Tehoma, whose people faced exile. When the soldiers left, Tehoma spoke of the long walk, the forced march his kin had endured years before, their suffering a wound he carried still. Eliza vowed to protect him, her resolve hardening like the canyon stone. She began to scout the valley's edges, her senses sharp, watching for threats. One day, she found a wounded Navajo boy, no older than 12, his leg gashed from a soldier's bayonet. She brought him to Tehoma, who worked tirelessly to save him, his hand steady despite his own frailty. Eliza assisted, boiling water, tearing cloth for bandages, her fear swallowed by purpose. The boy, named K.A. copyright A. copyright CHA T circumflex 1/4 survived, and his presence brought new life to their Hogan. He called Eliza's sister, his shy smile a mirror of her own when she'd first woken into Tehoma's care. Together, they formed a family, bound not by blood but by choice, their laughter a quiet rebellion against the world's cruelty. Eliza wove a rug with patterns of their valley, a blue for the stream, red for the cliffs, white for the stars, pouring her heart into each thread. Tehoma watched, pride in his eyes, and declared it a story cloth, a record of their survival. But his cough worsened, and Eliza's heart ached with the fear of losing him, the man who had made her whole. She prayed to changing woman, her words a blend of Navajo and her own faith, asking for strength to carry on their legacy. Winter descended on the valley, blanketing it in rare snow, the cold biting at Eliza's fingers as she gathered firewood. Tehoma's health deteriorated, his once mighty frame hunched, his breath rattling like dry leaves. Eliza took on the role of caregiver, brewing teas as he had taught her, her hand steady despite the fear gnawing at her heart. K.A. copyright A. copyright CHA T circumflex 1/4 helped, his small hands quick to fetch water or stoke the fire, his presence a reminder of the family they'd built. Eliza told him stories of her old life via clipper ships in Boston Harbor, her mother's apple pie blending them with Navajo tales until they felt like one narrative. Tehoma listened, his eyes bright with fever but warm with pride, calling her my daughter in a voice soft as ash. One night, under a sky heavy with stars, he spoke of his own youth, of running with his brothers across mesas, of his mother's songs that still lingered in his dreams. Eliza clung to his words, memorizing them, knowing time was slipping away. She began to record their life in a journal, using charcoal and scraps of hide, sketching the valley, Tehoma's carvings, K.A. copyright A. copyright CHA T circumflex 1/4 smile. Her words wove English and Navajo, a testament to her dual existence. But danger loomed again. A Navajo scout warned of soldiers returning, their numbers greater, their intent clearer, to clear the land of all who resisted. Tehoma, too weak to flee, urged Eliza and K.A. copyright A. copyright CHA T circumflex 1/4 to go, to find safety with distant clans. Eliza refused, her voice fierce, declaring she would not abandon him as the settlers had abandoned her. Together, they fortified the valley, hiding supplies in caves, masking their Hogan smoke with wet wood. Eliza taught K.A. copyright A. copyright CHA T circumflex 1/4 to set snares, not for game but for intruders, her mind sharp with strategy. When the soldiers came, their boots crunching in the snow, Eliza and K.A. copyright A. copyright CHA T circumflex 1/4 led them on a false trail. their knowledge of the land their greatest weapon. The soldiers left, frustrated, and Eliza returned to find Tehoma sitting by the fire, his face serene. He took her hand, placing a turquoise stone in her palm, its surface smooth from years of his touch. "Carry this," he said, "and carry me." Eliza wept, knowing his time was near, but she vowed to honor him, to keep their story alive. The valley, once a refuge, became a fortress of memory, its every stone a piece of their shared heart. 6. Spring brought warmth to the valley, but Tehoma's life faded like the last snow. Eliza and K.A. told the copyright copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 stayed by his side, their voices filling the Hogan with songs of healing. Though they knew no herb could save him now, he spoke less, but his eyes held stories, and he smiled when Eliza read from her journal, her words painting their life in vivid hues. On his final day, as the sun painted the cliffs gold, Tehoma called them close, his voice a whisper. He named Eliza T 1/4 copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4, meaning she who walks with strength, and told K.A. copyright copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 to guard her as a brother. With his last breath, he spoke of HA cubed ZHA cubed, the balance that would guide them even in his absence. Eliza buried him beneath the cottonwood, marking the grave with his carvings, her tears mixing with the earth. Grief weighed heavy, but she felt his presence in the wind, the stars, the stone in her pocket. She and K.A. copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 faced a choice: stay in the valley or seek others of Tehoma's kin. Eliza chose to go, driven by a need to share Tehoma's teachings, to ensure his legacy endured. They packed the Hogan's treasuries, rugs, baskets, her journal, and set out, the mare carrying their hopes. The journey was arduous, the desert unforgiving, but Eliza's skills, honed by Tehoma, kept them alive. They found a Navajo clan in a hidden canyon, welcomed as family when Eliza showed Tehoma's turquoise stone. The elders listened to her stories, marveling at the white girl who spoke their tongue, wove their patterns, sang their songs. Eliza taught K.A. copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 on the clan's children, passing on Tehoma's lessons: how to find water, read stars, live in HA cubed ZHA cubed. She wove new rugs, each thread a memory of the giant who saved her, her hands steady with purpose. The clan called her a bridge, a link between worlds, and she embraced the role, her heart no longer torn but whole. Yet, rumors of soldiers persisted, and Eliza knew peace was fleeting. She trained the clan's youth in stealth, teaching them to protect their land as she had protected Tehoma. Her journal grew, a chronicle of survival, love, and loss, its pages a map of her soul. At night, she dreamed of Tehoma, his laughter echoing, his hand guiding her still. 7 years passed, and Eliza, now a woman, became a leader among the clan, her auburn hair streaked with gray, her eyes sharp with wisdom. K.A. copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 grew tall, a tracker like Tehoma, his loyalty to Eliza unwavering. Together, they built a community that blended Navajo traditions with Eliza's ingenuity, creating irrigation channels from her memory of New England mills, strengthening Hogans against trades. Her journal became a sacred text, read aloud at gatherings, its stories of Tehoma inspiring the young. Eliza wove rugs that told of their valley, their journey, their survival, each sold to traders to fund the clan's needs. She spoke of HA cubed ZHA cubed in council, her voice carrying Tehoma's cadence, urging unity against the growing tide of settlers and soldiers. Her reputation spread, and some called her a medicine woman, though she insisted she was only Tehoma's daughter, carrying his light. Yet, the past returned. One day, a trader brought news of Carver, the settler who'd abandoned her, now a wealthy rancher in California. Rage flared in Eliza's chest, but she let it pass, choosing HA cubed ZHA cubed over vengeance. Instead, She sent him a rug, its pattern a subtle rebuke. A girl rising from the desert, surrounded by stars. The traitor returned with tales of Carver's guilt, his sleepless nights haunted by her survival. Eliza felt no triumph, only peace, knowing she transcended his betrayal. The clan faced new threats as soldiers pressing closer, smallpox scarring the land, but Eliza's leadership held them firm. She negotiated with traders for supplies, her English a tool to protect her people. Copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 led scouting missions, his skills keeping them one step ahead. Eliza's dreams grew vivid, Tahoma's voice urging her to teach, to weave, to endure. She trained a new generation, passing the turquoise stone to a young girl who reminded her of herself, a lost, then found. The clan thrived, a testament to Tahoma's legacy, Eliza's strength. Copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 loyalty. At night, by the fire, Eliza read from her journal, her words a bridge across time, linking past and future. She felt Tahoma in every breath, his giant heart beating in hers, their bond unbroken by death. 8. As Eliza grew old, her body slowed, but her spirit burned bright, a beacon for the clan. She sat often by Tahoma's grave, now a sacred site, where children left offerings of corn, pollen and stones. Her journal, now a thick bundle of hides, was copied by young scribes, its stories spreading to other clans. Eliza taught until her voice grew faint, her hands guiding others on the loom. Her rugs legendary for their beauty and meaning. Copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 now a leader, protected the clan with the same fierceness Eliza had shown in the valley. The world beyond changed. Railroads crisscrossed the desert, settlers claimed more land, but the clan held fast, their hogans hidden, their spirits unbroken. Eliza's final days were spent under the cottonwood, the turquoise stone in her hand, her eyes on the stars. She spoke of Tahoma, of the girl left to die who became a daughter, a sister, a mother to a people. When she passed, the clan mourned, but her legacy lived in every rug, every song, every child who knew. HA tilde cubed ZHA cubed Copyright CHA.T circumflex 1/4 buried her beside Tahoma, their graves a testament to a bond forged in survival. The clan carried on, their stories woven into the land, their resilience a fire that never faded. Eliza's journal was kept in a hogan, its pages read at ceremonies, her words echoing across generations. The desert, once her grave, became her cradle, its vastness holding the story of a girl and a giant, their love a light that burned eternal.